welcome to another edition of Shaking Up Kenosha. My name is Jeff Roberts, and I'll be your host for this show and hopefully more behind that. Today we have with us as our guest Candy Eisenhower.
Yes, that's
Candy,
right.
Okay.
Yes.
Candy, you are involved with the Taste of Wisconsin. Tell us how that actually got started.
Well, I'm a Western Kiwanian. I joined Kiwanis in 2002. We're business owners, and my insurance agent got me into Kiwanis, and because I'm in entertainment, and I got on. We used to do the tall ships here in Kenosha, and I was on that committee. The last one was supposed to come in 2008, and that's when the market dropped. Everything went down. And it was going to run us about $100,000 just to bring those ships in before we even opened the gates and paid for the entertainment and that sort of thing. So we decided that we just weren't going to do it. And Deanna Goodwin from the Department of Tourism stopped Jeff and myself and Stacy as we were leaving. And she said, I've got an idea for a festival if you guys are willing to do it. The Western Kiwanis is the group that used to do Kohorama. It just got, I don't know if you're from Kenosha, but it was turned into kind of a, not necessarily the greatest event. So they wanted to get away from that, and that's why we went into the tall ships. But she said, if your group is interested in doing a festival, I've got an idea. And she said, Taste of Wisconsin. What we will do is we will solicit Wisconsin businesses that make the cheese and the beer and that sort of thing. Bring them in, the artisans and the winemakers, and bring them in, and we get some entertainment and try and make it a nice, festival. And that was for her idea. We took the idea and ran with it. Because I'm a musician, I know a lot of musicians, and it's a fundraiser for our club. I went to some of my musician friends, and I said, I wonder if maybe you want to come down and play for an hour. And it was amazing. We started out, the first one was 2 days long.
I remember because I was there.
Yeah, were you? Good. That's good. We had about 15,000 people on the grounds. The second year, we went to 3 days. We already had everything there, the tents and the stages and everything was already there.
Right.
We had 2 stages of music. The first year, we went to 3 stages of music because more bands wanted to play. And then pretty soon, the fourth year, we grew out of where we were. We were along that harbor there. And we grew out of where we were, and so now we're down at Celebration Place down at the end, and this was our 7th year.
Now, what got you interested in sponsoring music events at the same time? I can understand, there's quite a draw for the food, for the drinks, and the ambiance, but what got you thinking about, let's do some music, too?
Well, of course you have to do music. Who doesn't want to eat and listen to music? I mean, there's nothing, there's nothing bad about that situation at all. Background music, and, we did different stages. We did like a rock stage, and we did, a lighter stage. So people can, sit down and eat, and you can have conversation, but you can still want to have that music in the background so people want to dance. I'm a musician, so naturally that's going to come to me right away.
Yeah, that's the problem for me, too, because I'm a musician myself. I'm a drummer, so I've been involved in music almost all my life. So whenever somebody says, oh, there's a Taste of Wisconsin, or there's some sort of festival going on downtown, really?
Sure,
Who's playing?
Absolutely,
Who's playing?
Absolutely. It's that's a way to bring people together, is to have music, and that's.
When you think about some of the things that happened during the music festival, how did some of those ideas come about? Was it just somebody toss out the idea to you, and then it just kind of build up from there?
Are you talking about Taste of Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Well, because we had, like I said, because we had done tall ships before, it was already the same thing. We'd already had vendors for that.
So it was the same format.
It was pretty much the same format without the ships.
Well, maybe now you can do it with the ships. I mean,
no.
Now that would be a heck of a deal to have.
It would, but they're so darn expensive to bring in. That's the problem. That's the main thing. And especially in 2008, the concern was, first of all, because it costs so much to bring them, and now you've got to charge people to come in the gate. And to me, that's one of the major draws, I think, for Taste of Wisconsin, is that we don't charge a cover charge. There is no gate fee. So you can bring the family. You know, you come down and you spend a day and you eat,
2
and the
days.
whole family's there.
3 days.
3 days, yeah, and how many ever days you want. And, you know, because so we already knew how to put the thing together. It was just this way we were just doing it, and you know, we've been doing it for a while. And I think the earlier club members, because they were doing Kohorama, there were things that did work in Kohorama. And, you know, with Tall Ship, there are things that, so we took the best out of all the experiences that we had. Jeff Hansen is a strong member of, there were 3 of us that did Taste of Wisconsin originally. Jeff took care of the logistics, which is the tents and the porta potties and the fencing, and I took care of the entertainment, and that's getting the band, getting the sound, and then Stacy Lipke took care of the vendors, getting the vendors in and you know, soliciting them and make sure they got in their spots. Yeah, yeah, and it got to be quite big. So the last couple of years, our Kiwanian brothers and sisters have been helping a lot more. They're taking over different committees, and with the marketing, and with the we have a group that does the beer, we have a group that does you know, all different things now. So it takes it off of us, because it was getting so big that the 3 of us were working all year round on an event. You know, so
yeah. When you think about how the music gets sponsored and how you go out and solicit for bands to come in and play, does it pretty much word of mouth that everybody knows now that it's out there? And
it is
now
word
they're
of
ready?
mouth, and they all know, that it is a benefit. It is a fundraiser, and I don't ask people that I know that do it for a living. I don't ask people anymore. The first couple of years, I asked my friends, and you know, and I have a large group of friends, but it is snowballed to where we have 4 stages. We have over 80 different groups playing, and in January, I send them out another thank you and ask them if you want to come back next year, and I always get a great response. At least 80% come back, and those 20% that don't come back, the main reason they don't is they don't have a band anymore. Yeah. Usually it's just about everybody comes back, and then there are so many groups from around the area that have heard about it. They email me, or they call and they say they're interested in playing, and the first thing I say is, before we go any further, I want to tell you that this is a fundraiser, and all of our entertainment, all our musicians donate their time. If you're still interested, let me know. And I have had very few say, no, we don't want to. Almost all of them say, we would love to come. We've heard it's a great time, and it's for the musicians too. They enjoy themselves. They can bring their whole family. They only play for an hour. We put the sound systems on the stages, you know, and then they can go around. It's for them. They go around and they see all the other musicians. We never get to do that because we're playing on the weekends when everybody else is. So this is kind of a nice thing for everybody.
Now, when you think about all the music that gets played in Kenosha, and every weekend there's something.
Yeah.
During the week, too. I keep hearing about The Shell. Tell us a little bit about the music that you actually sponsor a lot of that, too, don't you?
Well, Tuesday at the Shell is presented by Happenings Magazine, the City of Kenosha, and MAM, which is Musicians Assisting Advancing Music.
That was my next question.
Yes, that is it's a nonprofit, and I am on the board of directors for that. Tuesday at the Shell is my committee. You have to be a member of MAM to play. Frank Carmichael from Happenings Magazine came up with the money originally, and we brought in sponsors to help offset the cost, because the musicians get paid, the sound company gets paid. This is a paid event. Right. So they submit their press packets, and to be a member of MAM, which is $10 a year. And you submit your press packet. There is a committee that goes through the press packets and picks those 8 to 10 groups, because if they're smaller groups, then we double them up. If it's a duo or a single artist, we double them up so that there's more to go around for everybody. And then they're asked if they want to play, and then we do 8 weeks. But the sponsor money is what pays for it, right. And the 50-50 raffles that we have during the event. And because, you know, Frank paid for quite a bit of it the first couple of years, and you know, the last couple of years, MAM has been able to pay for it through the sponsorship, and that's how I ended up being a sponsor. I try to sponsor music events if I can through the store. That's CD Warehouse, and I try to sponsor as much music as I can. It's hard because it's a small store. I don't have a lot of money, but if I can, then I will. I've sponsored Rock the Block, and I've been a sponsor of Taste of Wisconsin, and I've been a sponsor of obviously Tuesday at the Shell, and the Kenosha Comes Alive CD. I sponsor that. And sometimes you have to be careful about how you're spreading it around, because
you don't have the money to be able to do
There isn't a lot, yeah. So it's mostly things that I'm involved in that I try to sponsor. But I've also got a thing at the store that if somebody has a benefit or a fundraiser and they want to come and it's a legitimate one, we always give a couple of $10 gift certificates. We're always happy to do that. And that's for all sorts of things, different things. Kindred Kitties, I'll donate a little sound system to them when they've got events, whatever we can do to help in the community. And we hope that turn comes around and people, when they're thinking about music or about movies or things like that, they'll come to CD Warehouse. It's all to help each other.
Yeah, it's all related.
Yeah.
Now, when we think about, and I know you have to think about this a lot, how difficult is it to sponsor a music event in Kenosha?
Well, if you want to come up with the money, it's not difficult at all. The people that are putting on the event are happy to accept your money.
I bet so.
I try to do other things that I can, like the Kenosha Comes Live CD. I do the distribution. I do the duplication of the CDs, and a lot of that I donate because I don't have the money for it. But it's not difficult to do. I mean, there are people that need the help, that need people to sponsor things and help as much as they can. There's so many things that, people don't have money in their pockets. They don't have that extra. I mean, we're not living in the 70s and 80s when we had the American Motors and there was cash flowing all over the place in town. So as much as anybody can help, I feel strongly that you just should try to help each other. I think that's as much as you can. I mean, obviously you can't help everybody, but if you can help a little bit, I think that goes a long way, and I think it comes back.
Now, you come up with an idea for a music show or a music festival, and it's going to be maybe along the lines of something like Taste of Wisconsin. What's the first step that you have to do in order to organize that type of a show here in Kenosha? Well,
the first thing that I would do is definitely get the city involved. Obviously, you're going to need, you need permits and that sort of thing. Decide where you're going to have it. There are a lot of places that to do things like that, like the Shell, down at Penoyer. We have Celebration Place. We have such a beautiful lakefront here. Going to the city first, and they have ideas. Chris Coachman at the city, she's the special events liaison, and she's there specifically to help people organize their events, not to do the event.
Right.
But to help them organize it and to get them in touch with the Parks Department, get them in touch with the Public Works, and to help them do the things that they need to do and to get your licenses and your permits and that sort of thing. Then, I mean, you have to have a plan. You have to have a
good
theme,
plan.
A good plan, a theme of some sort, and that's very important. And you have to have help. And I would urge anybody that wants to do that sort of thing, think about doing it yourself. Don't go to somebody and say, what you should do. Do it yourself. Maybe ask for help, but be prepared to jump in there and do it. There's so many people that come to me and say, you know what you should do? Yeah, well, I'm doing enough. You do it.
With that thought in mind, it's time for us to take a break. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're watching Kenosha Community Television.
Welcome back. I'm here with Candy Eisenhower. She is you're pretty much the director and sponsor and chief cook and bottle washer for all of Taste of Wisconsin, aren't you?
Just the entertainment is
just the entertainment, okay.
Just the entertainment, yeah.
Well, that's pretty much it, too. Candy, whenever we're thinking about Kenosha and the types of music and the variety of music, other cities play music, too. I mean, Milwaukee has a fairly robust music scene. So does Chicago. How do some of the smaller towns, stuff like Kenosha and even smaller than Kenosha, how do they do it? Is it similar, or is there more regulation, more regulatory requirements?
I think the city of Kenosha, if you're looking at talent, is just as talented, if not more, than Milwaukee and Chicago. The thing is that the reason that Milwaukee and Chicago have the talent that they have is because out of these small towns that we're talking about, those people that want to do more music for a living are going to Chicago and they're going to Milwaukee.
They gravitate.
Right, exactly. But we have such an outstanding talent in this area, and the reason why is because years ago that bar was set high. There have been great musicians in this town for years and years and years, since the early 60s, maybe even before that, but for myself, I can say the early 60s. And the thing is that those people were good and they set the bar that high. So anybody growing up knew that you had to practice and you had to get better, because you weren't just going to be able to play anywhere. You had to work at your craft. And I think that's what causes this area to be so talented.
What got you actually started in music? I mean, I moved to Kenosha back in 1995, and we've been here for 20 years now. We love the place. This is home. My wife is from Europe, but we love the place. This is home. We love the music scene. My daughter played in the orchestra, and I played in marching band when I was in high school, and played in stage band.
And the drums.
Everything. Yes, everything. So, for me, it was always music. Music was very important. But I passed that on to my kids, and now they've moved away. They're doing their thing. What got you started in music?
I came home from kindergarten crying one day. This is a story that my mother tells me. I came home from kindergarten crying, and my mom wanted to know what was wrong, and I told her that my teacher had put me in the back of the class. And I didn't know why. I thought I had done something wrong, and she didn't like me. So my mom called my kindergarten teacher, and she told her that because Candy has such a strong, clear voice, I put her in the back of the room during music class so that her voice would carry for the rest of the kids. That, to me, was the beginning for me of my singing career, because the next time I went to music class in kindergarten, I went back there and I sang my songs as loud as I possibly could. You know, so I was interested in music. I took guitar lessons when I was in 8th grade. Because I sang, I just was lucky enough. I was blessed. My mom and dad say I was blessed with good lungs. And I was lucky enough to have a good, strong, clear voice. And so I started taking guitar lessons when I was in 8th grade, so I'd have something to play along. And back then, you know, it was, the Mamas and the Papas and Bob Dylan and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah. And then when I was 14, you know, some of the kids that were playing actually in bands heard me sing and said, "Hey, why don't you come and play with us?" And I've been playing music ever since. I went on the road when I was 19, doing the whole, you know, Midwest and Southwest or Southeast. Back then in 1973, I went on the road. I was 19 and was on the road for 7 years, playing little clubs all over. That's when they had bands 5 nights a week, and that's when you could make a living. So we would play in North Dakota and South Dakota, and we played in Tennessee and North Carolina. And we had a booking agent that, I was telling the story the other day, we had a booking agent that used to blindfold his guys, and they'd throw a dart at the map, and that's where your band went the next week, you know. So I did that for 7 years, and then when I moved back to Kenosha, I played part-time, and then in '96 I opened the store. So
now, just listening to you two mention that, it's strange because my mother was a musician. She played piano and accordion, and she played a little bit of guitar. I started with drums because I was sick the day that the instruments were all assigned.
Oh.
So when I came to school the next day, the only thing that was left was a snare drum.
Oh.
And my grandfather was, oh boy, you get to play drums. And I thought, why did I get stuck with this?
Really?
You know?
Really?
I was not interested. I wanted to play trumpet.
Oh, my.
I really wanted to play trumpet.
Yeah.
And my mother says, well, play what you got.
Yeah.
So she took me down to the music store, bought me a pair of sticks, and couple of things of sheet music, like the 26 drum rudiments, and I looked at this stuff and I said, well, this doesn't look too hard.
Yeah.
And I was hooked.
Yeah.
Did that happen for you too?
Yeah, I think so. My brother had taken guitar lessons, but he didn't like the guitar. I guess my mom said he wanted to play drums. So, he could have been in your place. Who knows? Yeah, and so they had a guitar, and so I used to pick it up. But that's, I wanted to play drums, though, too, actually. But my parents wouldn't allow me to do that. It would be too loud. I'm surprised that your mom said,
Snare drum,
Yeah.
not drum set, not drum set.
Did you do that to her, though, as you got older? Did you come into the house with a full drum set and a band?
Oh, yeah. One of the things that got me actually interested in playing music was the fact that you had a bass drum and a hi-hat, and you had to use both feet, and they didn't do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that intrigued me because I was watching. My grandfather was a big jazz musician. He not a musician himself, but he loved jazz. He was an enthusiast. Mm-hmm. He watched Gene Krupa play. He watched Buddy Rich play. And he kept telling me, he says, if you can get your feet to go half as fast as those guys, you got it made. And I watched a Joe Morello tape. And this was one of the old 16 millimeters that was converted. And I watched Joe play drums, and I was just absolutely shocked. I was blown away. I had to learn how to do that.
It's funny. I watched the old movie channels, the old TMC, Turner Classic Movies, and I watched those old black and white movies, and the bands are up there, and watching some of those guys play is just...
And they really
wow,
played.
Yes.
They
And that
really
was
played.
all live, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's what got my grandfather really interested and enthused, and then he passed that on to me just by giving me that hint, and before you know it, I'm playing myself. So.
Yeah. When music was music. Yeah.
When we think about big, huge music shows, now it's much easier to put on a smaller music show, but something like Country Thunder, that is a woofer. That is a huge show.
That's a huge undertaking, yeah.
That's more than one person who's sponsoring just the entertainment.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of things. Talk us through what somebody who's trying to do something that big would have to do.
Well, I would think that Country Thunder, we used to go out there because we used to sell used CDs, so I would take my used country CDs out there, and we had a regular tent out there, and so I watched some of the stuff that went on out there. And now you're dealing with the artists that are getting $20,000-$30,000 per performance. Now you're talking. Now you've got booking agents. Now you've got. That's a huge thing, and that's why your gate fees are so much money. Your sound systems are probably $10,000-$25,000 to bring into something like that. That's a huge undertaking, and that's almost like a little city. Yeah. Country Thunder is, Yeah, that was that's very impressive to watch how they work out there. Despite the mud, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that something like a Country Thunder will ever come to Kenosha?
I think that Country Thunder, is perfect where it is. Twin Lakes is Kenosha County, so it's not like it's that far away for us.
But you're kind of going like this. That's okay. I don't need that one.
Well, it is where it is. It's on a huge farm, so there's room for it out there. I believe that we have a beautiful lakefront, but I don't believe it's large enough to handle something like that, something big like that. I've had somebody brought up. What have we brought it? What's his name? Jimmy Buffett, bring Jimmy Buffett in for a night in Kenosha.
I've been to one of Jimmy Buffett's concerts over at the Valley, and there is no way.
Well, where would you put him?
Exactly.
Because
that place is huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Even the area where the refreshment stands are set up and the porta potties and all that stuff, you're still almost a quarter of a mile away.
Yeah.
There is no way you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to ask you this question. I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask anyway. What do you think is the future of music in Kenosha?
I think music is alive and well in Kenosha. I think it builds every day. There are events going on every day. There's, PB&J, there's Tuesday at the Shell. Fusion is the Kenosha Performing Arts Association. I think we've talked about that before. The downtown area is, if you go downtown, there are so many things going on down there. And they were talking about allowing, alcohol down in the city of Kenosha streets or the downtown streets in an entertainment area. I'm not necessarily sure that that's a good idea, but the reason that they're talking about doing those kind of things is because that downtown is building
It's a draw.
up. People, I have to laugh when people say there's nothing to do here because this area is so full of stuff going on all the time. All you have to do is go to it.
It's funny because my kids, when they were in school here, they used to call it Kenowhere.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what are you talking about? Where do you see the Taste of Wisconsin 5 years from now?
I hope the Taste of Wisconsin doesn't change. I hope it doesn't get any bigger.
Big enough? You think
I
it's
think
big
it's
enough?
big enough. We had 42,000 people on the grounds for 3 days.
Wow.
The last 2 years. And so we know it wasn't a fluke last year. We had the same amount this year. And that's a lot of people. There aren't a lot of places that we can go to get into a bigger spot.
Yeah.
The Celebration Place is pretty big. I hope that it stays the same. I would like to keep it the same. I'd like to keep. I don't want it to get so big where you don't want to bring your family, where you don't want to spend a day and be able to visit with friends. I don't want it to ever turn into that.
Yeah,
So
like so
we're
many
all
other
happy
concerts
with,
do.
Yeah, we're happy. I think with the size of it.
Okay, so last question, and then, and I'll give you a second or two to contemplate this one. Where do you see music in Kenosha as a whole, say 10 years from now? Do you think it's going to continue to grow as it is now? Are we going to have more festivals? Are we going to have more of the smaller events? We've talked about 5 years and the taste, but what about just music in general?
I think if everybody gets on board and everybody keeps, you're talking 10 years down the line. And
Right.
and one of the things that MAM does is we have a grant fund. We sell that Kenosha Comes Alive CD, and we get used instruments from people, and we sell those things, and all of that money goes into a grant fund. And the Kenosha Unified School District music teachers can apply for a grant, and these are for the things that you can't get because nobody has any money in the
Right.
school districts and that sort of thing. This helps them get those guitar strings and gets that sheet music and we've done saxophone stands, we've even done orchestra chairs where we have given them grant money to help them do that. I think if everybody starts getting on board and helping with keeping our music and keeping our arts and everything in this area alive, there could be no end to it. It could be fantastic, but everybody's got to help. Everybody's got to get into it.
So you're thinking it's a
appreciate it.
self-perpetuating machine.
Yeah, exactly. Those kids, there's so much talent, and if we nurture it, and they don't have to stay in Kenosha. They can go out to. So many people from Kenosha have done so many things. They've done soundtracks for albums or for movies and jingles, and they've made livings.
They've
doing
acted
it.
in movies
Yeah,
too.
Exactly.
They've
It's
written movies.
A talented area, and there's a lot of potential here, and a lot of great talent. I think we need to nurture it and push it, and keep doing what we can.
And with that, we'd like to thank you for attending another edition of Shakin' Up Kenosha. Tune in next time. We hope you enjoy the show. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Are you camera shy but would like to get behind the scenes of the fun-filled world of television production? Then Kenosha TV just might be the place for you. Every week, your friends and neighbors on Kenosha TV create new programs. We always need people like you to help direct the shows, man the cameras, tweak the audio, and have a great time in producing programming for Kenosha viewers. No experience is necessary. Kenosha TV provides the training and equipment for you. For more information, give us a call or go to our website.